Sit up straight. We're live.
Oh,
How are you
shit.
doing today? Welcome to you, the viewer, and to our fantastic panel. It's the After Dram, and that means it's time to unwind. So put your feet up, grab a dram or two, or a cocktail, and any type of combination you want, and relax. So a quick recap to our early afternoon and Dom's evening. Dave, Jason, Kent, Nick, and I have done a deep dive into the next three chapters of Whisky Japan, the Essential Guide to the World's Most Exotic Whiskey. This book right here. Not a beautiful book?
That's so cool.
And we did it with the author, Dominic Roskrow, and it was informative, it was entertaining, and the fun's just begun. We're going on even more. Let's do another round of introductions, please, and tell us what's in your glasses now. And we're going to start again with Dom, please.
Hi, I'm Dominic Roskrow. Thank you for having me on here. Hello to everybody in Canada. Hope you're all well. I've still got some cider left. We're getting into the witching hour now, so I've also poured myself a Pinot Noir. Yeah,
Good.
Yeah. Because tomorrow's a big day here. It's Mother's Day here tomorrow, so I've got to be able to get up early with the puppy so that my wife can have a lie in, and then there's football all day. So that's me.
For the mothers out there, there's all that.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, I'll make her watch it. I will make her a cup of tea during the halftime interval.
Nice. That's very gentlemanly.
It's not my mother.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that. No. Dave, you're up, buddy.
All right. Hey, it's Yukon Dave coming from the basement, and I'm drinking the same one that I had in the first half, Miyagi-ko out of Nika, and you'll see me drinking this next week also because it's the only one I've got now.
Oh, we'll get you another one.
Yeah, I have.
We'll all buy another one, and we won't even tell each other, and it'll be the same one. Jason, you're up, buddy.
Hi there, my name's Jason. You can find me on Instagram at jmac_25. I started off our first session with the Miyagi-ko non-age statement, same as Yukon Dave there. And for the After Dram, I've switched, and I am now drinking a Swedish whiskey called High Coast, and it's their expression, the Alv.
Wow.
Lovely.
Wow.
Good stuff. Thank you very much. And next we have Kent.
Hi, my name's Kent. I've switched up my cocktails. We've gone to a whiskey shosho. I hope I'm saying that right. And you can find me on all platforms under Whiskey Ass.
Excellent. And Nick, last but not least.
Hey everybody, I'm Nick. I go by Black Cat Whiskey, and I'm two-fisting it. I have my highball cocktail, and I'm savoring my Chichibu World Blend Malton Grain. And that's my sample from Lee, our Japanese contact here locally, who brings a really good whiskey back from Japan when he goes and sells his honey overseas.
He's our mule. He's our busy bee. He's our drone. And I guess you're not last, but not I'm last and the least apparently. So there we go. So I'm doing the same thing. There's two of us doing that. So, but mine, and I'm wondering if I'm doing the same one Kent is. This is the Hakashu Shusho, and this has 1 3/4 ounces of whiskey. Is that right? You can't see it, but the 1/2 ounce of rose water and the 1/2 ounce of club soda. And this is on page 236 of this book. And I think it's fantastic. I love it. And I'm not a cocktail guy. And those of you who have seen that, you know I'm not a cocktail guy. But this is like drinking perfume, but in a very good way. I can't say it any better than that.
As opposed to the times you drank it in a really bad way.
Yeah, I have. I've had some hideous cocktails that I've made before.
No, I'm thinking about perfume.
But I've put the perfume on, the mouth open, and you've tasted it, and you. But this is beautiful, and the rose water is fantastic. So I'm going to thank Cheryl out there for it, and. She's part of our Alberta Scotch Society as well. She's a lovely, lovely person. Someone here knows her better than I do. It's Whiskey Ass's wife, but she hooks me up with these things because I don't do the cocktails. But this is really nice.
So the reason I didn't call it full name is that I'm using the Nika Pure Malt.
Oh, I'm using a different Nika too for it, so it's not the same one. Doesn't matter. But so we're essentially the same whiskey. Dom, before I forget, because I forgot last week, I want to know how you became a colonel.
Yeah, before I answer that,
Okay.
am I on again next week?
You are too.
Is that the last time?
That's our last time. Unless you want to go.
I've had a great idea.
Okay.
I'm going to spend tomorrow, when I'm not looking after my wife's cup of tea, I'm going to spend tomorrow writing to all the Japanese companies I know saying, I'm on live television in Canada, talk about Japanese whiskey. You must have something you could send me so I can actually have a Japanese whiskey, because I haven't got any. So, and then I might get 6 or 7 samples, and I might even be able to just drink them, because I might get a little bit loose next week if it's the last one.
It is.
Looser. Great idea, right?
It's a fantastic idea, Don.
Oh, send me an email because I'll forget.
Okay. I will do that for you.
Kentucky Colonel. Okay. So Kentucky Colonel is an honorary title for anybody that has promoted and supported the state of Kentucky. And it has obviously ties right back to the Civil War, and Kentucky was neutral in the Civil War. I don't know if you know much about Kentucky history, but it was one of the bloodiest states in the Civil War, but that's because it was neutral, and brother fought brother and father fought son, and it was all very, very ugly. And but Kentucky deep down is on the south side of the river, and you get the sense that although the state was neutral, actually it had slaves and it had empathy with the Southern cause. So it's not altogether straightforward. But they've turned the Kentucky Colonel role into it's like getting a medal, really.
Yeah.
And so when I first did my first book on Kentucky, I love Kentucky. I'm treated so well there, but then as somebody said, well, yeah, but you're a white heterosexual male. It's a good starting point. So
for us, yeah.
Kentucky actually votes more heavily Republican than any other state in America normally. But the city of Louisville is its rebellious place. So the people in the whiskey industry are in Louisville. Well, that's not entirely true, but the people that you meet in the whiskey industry are in Louisville. So they tend to be fairly liberal. I live in Norfolk in England, and it's a completely conservative area, except for the city of Norwich, which is Labour, and same with Leicestershire. Leicestershire is all fox hunting and shires, and the city of Leicester is very, very Asian working class. So it's not an unfamiliar thing for me. So anyway, the Kentucky role, when I went over there and did my book, I basically wanted to make a comparison. The book I'm talking about is The World's Best Whiskies. The chapter I did on Kentucky, I wanted to have musical experiences wherever I went. So I took music with me to create. It was very bad journalism. I actually can't speak, it's not spontaneous. I created my environment. And the woman who was driving me around from the PR company, she spent a week with me, and she obviously thought I was completely and utterly crazy. And of course, I'd be drinking. She was driving, so I was drinking around distilleries. And you imagine having me do this for a week when I the most excited I ever get, which is the height of my mania. You know, I'm just like, it frazzles you. It really does. You know, people burn out with me. You know, it's very. But in the course of the conversation, Elvis came up. And I'm a huge Elvis fan. He's probably the only singer that can actually make me cry. Oh. And we talked about Elvis and blah, blah, blah. And she said, you know, he's a Kentucky Colonel. And I said, I did know that. I said, how on earth did that happen? He said, well, because he came to Louisville a lot and he did a lot for the city. I said, so you can just get it, can you? He said, yeah, if you do something great for Kentucky, you can apply for it to the I don't even know what he's called now. I've got a certificate somewhere. To the highest person in the governor of Kentucky. So I said, could I do that? She said, I could do it on your behalf, because She said, "You're writing a book on Kentucky. You're promoting bourbon." Because when I first went to Kentucky to write about bourbon, I got on television because they couldn't understand why an English journalist would want to come and talk about whiskey. Nobody talked about whiskey in Kentucky. It was a dirty subject. You know, if you've ever seen the film It's a Wonderful Life,
Yep.
one of my favorite film, there's a scene where he goes in a bar and he says, "Hello, Nick." And Nick goes, "I don't know who you are, but guys come in here to get drunk and to get drunk fast." And all he's got in the background is a range of very poor-looking bottles of bourbon, because it was a drunkard man's drink. It was cheap and on the bottom shelf. That's what it was. So when I went there saying, "Whoa, we want to write about bourbon in the UK," they all went, "What? Who's this crazy guy?" So I got on television, I got to know film crews, etc. And this is like, I came to Whiskey Magazine 2001. So we're talking that's 20 years. What actually happened was that over that time, like other whiskeys from around the world, the reputation went up. But they take me back to Kentucky like a son, because I was the first person. Well, Jim Murray was the first person, but Jim Murray owns a house there. It's full of snakes. He abandoned the house there, and it's near the old Wild Turkey distillery. And Jimmy Russell told me that it's all decrepit and full of snakes. It's not, but Jim was there before me, to be fair. But after that, and because I didn't do Japan, and this is ironic that we're having this evening, because Marcin and Michael Jackson, Marcin Miller, the publisher, Michael Jackson, Dave Broom wanted to go to Japan. I thought, I'll own Ireland and I'll own Kentucky. That's what I thought.
Okay.
Good journalism. Find your niche and exploit it.
It's like you're playing Risk.
Yeah,
I'll take this
it's exactly what it is. And then when I went freelance, then I went into places like Australia and into Europe and all these places that served me really, really well. But that's exactly what it's like, Risk. And even more so, there are distilleries from Scotland who are massive in Lithuania, because they've identified a gap in the market and they sell lots and lots of whiskies in Lithuania or Latvia or Poland, because they can't compete with Diageo, Pernod Ricard, in anywhere else, or all your big distillers in Canada. So anyway, long and short of it was that because I was doing all this work and I raised the profile of, and it was happening anyway. It would have happened without me. I just rode the wave. But as I said it before, I don't know if I've said it to you, I think of the whiskey industry like a great white shark. I love sharks, and a great white shark. But on the back of a white shark, there's these little tiny fish that eat the skin.
Algae or whatever it is.
Yeah, and they travel on the back of the shark. The shark likes it because it's cleaning their skin. But
fish.
They're basically leeching off the back of the shark. That's what I think I do in the whiskey industry. I think we ride on the back of a beast that's so far more powerful and so far more stronger. But we get... Well, and then they turn around to us and tell us we're the good guys. Well done, you. Nah, would have happened anyway. I just happened to be there. So, anyway, the long and short of it was she applied to the governor, and the governor granted me Kentucky status. I have a certificate. I can do certain things. I can wear a uniform. I looked at the cost, and it was too much, because the only people who make them are, not stupid Americans, are they? The only people making these uniforms are through the nose, but I have a certificate, and I think there's only 2 people in the world that's ever been both, and I'm one of them, maybe 3.
Okay.
And
how are you with fried chicken?
Yeah, well, I'll get a discount.
Well,
my Colonel credit card, I get 10% off. And it's a close bond with Elvis Presley, no less.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Kentucky Colonel, Whiskey Leech, Dom, man of many traits. I might, if I don't have any tattoos, but if I was going to get a tattoo done, and I was you, I think it would be the leech, the Whiskey Leech on the back of the Great White. I think that would be great with the hat. No, and the Colonel, the little Colonel, whatever. I've
got a shark. I've got a shark tattoo that big on my back.
Oh, okay.
And I've got Maori tattoos from my time in New Zealand
Well,
This is-
that looks lovely, but I
Not
think
many-
the shark
not many
on the
people-
back, you could
So
have
many
the
people
whiskey
get to
leaks
see
on
this.
there.
They're up there because my wife hates them and I have to hide them. She'll be appalled if she walked in now.
Well, and with Mother's Day, you can hide it for her just one day. But I'm serious. The shark on the back, put some little whiskey leeches or a leech that looks like a whiskey bottle with a hat and a little bit. That's what I if I was going to have a tat.
Have you ever seen or heard of Sons of Anarchy?
Yes.
I thought it sounded so brilliant. I bought my best friend the first series on DVD, and I bought myself the same thing. And I got home, put it on, and the first thing that happens, if you remember, is they give a guy a choice to burn his patch off or to cut his patch off.
Yeah.
And he chooses to burn his patch off. So he's drinking whiskey, and they're burning with a blowtorch this patch on because he's kicked out of this gang. Anyway, I should have done that. I should have had a proper back tattoo, telling my story in shock imagery. The trouble is, nobody ever sees it or know what it means.
It's a great conversational piece, and you take off your shirt in a bar. It's fine.
Do you know what?
You
How
have a
often do you
reason
take
now.
your shirt off in a bar?
I wouldn't be proud, but
And then suddenly back to everybody until somebody says, "Hey, mate."
hey,
I've
buddy,
got lots of ways to make. I tell you what, I can walk in a bar and start talking to somebody within 3 minutes without tattoos or anything else.
I believe
I might
that.
get there after an hour. Oh, I've got a shark tattoo on my back. Do you want to see it?
No, I just take it off anyways. This is me in my full glory.
Well, I love the Dallas Cowboys, and one of my big dreams before lockdown, I went to a game in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I hung out all afternoon and ended up with lots of pictures with blokes showing off their whole back Dallas Cowboy tattoos. So you are right. People do take that. I've got those pictures to this day.
Well, Dom, if we ever get together at one point and we go out, I'll make it my job, really, to get you soused enough so that you actually take your shirt off in a bar. And
you don't know me very well at all, do you? Because I don't need to be soused.
I got your back, Dom. I'm a big
I've got my back.
We're good. All right, panel, let's get you involved in this conversation a little
Sorry,
bit.
I should shut up. I'm doing it.
No, don't you dare.
So
Don't you dare shut up. It's all part of us. And another quote. I don't do quotes in the After Dram very often, but I am anyways. There we go. So, and this is one of my favorite quotes so far. It's on page 81. If Hijanshu were a color, it would be as green as the region in which it's located and as green as the bottles it comes in. Now, panel, I hope you think this is fantastic as me, because I want you to come up with another whiskey that you would relate to the color blue, yellow, red, orange, or black. Just something. So if they all got this question previously. So hopefully they've got some really good answers. And it doesn't have to be Japanese whiskey. I just like the effect of relating a whiskey to a color, which I haven't done. I've done colors to flavor profiles, and people do that, which I think is really cool. And Dom, you actually do that as well. In the book where you talk about the flavoring or the flavor profiles of the different whiskeys, you got colors related to different. So I think this lends itself to it. So I'm opening this up to anyone on the panel that wants to talk about blue, yellow, red, orange, black, or some other color I haven't thought of that relates to a whiskey.
I'll go first. I actually was doing a blind side-by-side last night, and my last dram of the evening was this beautiful, deep, rich brown that reminded me of brown tourmaline, which is a gem. And it was reflecting light, and it just had this richness. And as you're smelling it, I got all these, what I characterize as brown food notes.
Okay.
So like molasses, demer sugar, all those deep, rich notes, nutmeg, cardamom. And then as you're drinking it, those notes were sort of all reinforced. So to me, it was I understand that concept of it. It comes to mind, it would be very green. This was very brown. And ironically, it was the Two Brewers 24.
Oh, Dave's. Okay, excellent.
And yeah, it was the color did stick for me.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Number 24, their oldest whiskey yet, 11 years old. They're getting up there in age. Okay. Anyone else with a color? I got mine, but I want you guys to say yours first.
Well,
Go ahead.
okay, so I don't like having just one color. I think it limits me.
Okay. Rainbow.
We used to talk about different spices making a whiskey, you can think about every barrel's like a different spice. Every barrel's a different color. And somebody said it to us in the Winnipeg show, like a painting. You got a dab of this over there, and there's a little bit of red, and we'll stick a little bit of green down there. And that brought me back to this product. And these guys relate their bourbon to musical notes. So if you put it together, if you put the notes together right, it actually sounds pretty good. And so color, I don't want to get stuck with one. Yeah.
So I refuse to be pigeonholed, Dolph. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You're all the colors of the rainbow, bud. Whatever you want. All right, Jason, Mac Daddy, do you got one?
Yeah, I got one for blue. I'm drinking this High Coast whiskey right now from Sweden, and when I drink it, I think of the color blue. Think of like bright blue summer skies. It's a light floral, vibrant whiskey. All the floral notes makes me think of flowers in bloom as well. And again, just like a nice, bright, sunny day.
Got it. Okay.
So mine is for Dom. Mine is our football team colors, black and gold.
That looks green.
Black and gold.
Well, it's gold. It's amber.
Okay.
Which you're talking English football, not Canadian football.
Yeah.
Which team's that?
I don't know.
Looking something up. He didn't look into this. He didn't study it.
I don't do colors with my whiskey other than, I like.
If you'd said gold and black, I'd have said Wolverhampton Wanderers.
New Orleans Saints, gold and black.
Yes, absolutely right. Yeah. But black and gold.
Well, gold and black and gold. It's
And
I
we've
don't
got that
see
for
the color
hockey.
when I'm drinking my whiskey. This question was just mute to me, and I had to come up with something.
All right. Well, thanks for trying.
Well,
Not trying at all.
at least nobody stole his idea this time.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go first, because that was mine. No, I'm going to say two colors. So I've got blue for Scapa. And when I have Scapa, it just reminds me of the ocean for some reason. It's not salty, it's not briny, but it's kind of like a fresh blue for me. So a lake blue, let's say that. And
Light
red
blue.
for me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry?
Light blue.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's what I'm getting from it. So that works for me. But the other one's red. And it's an Amroot sherry. What's the name of it? Amroot
No,
sherry.
The cask one?
no. The red tin one. The red and
I
white.
can get it, but it feels odd for me to leave this again. It's something sherry, a word and then sherry. It's Amroot, more sherry, extended sherry, something sherry. I'll get to it later. That was my red one, and I think it just might be for the bin. But when I think of India, the Orient, I just think of hot and the whiskey's developing in a hot region. That's it. So that's it. Dom, do you have any other colors? What's that say?
So
Well, it's just a Indian, the intermediate sherry.
That's it. Intermediate sherry. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, okay. I taste in color.
Yeah.
Before I got cyclothymia, and before I got treated for it, my mania was much more extreme, and my depressions were a lot more extreme, much more like bipolar disorder. So I now manage that very, very well, and I actually know how to let the genie. It's like living with Alice Cooper, and I can let the genie out of the bottle, but and put him away and go to bed and forget about things. But when I was not treated, I used to have quite severe manic episodes, and went through a very bad patch where I got saying things on social media I shouldn't have said and done things I shouldn't have done. But one of the things about mania is that you often have these manic episodes where you do extreme things. Like I'd it's not funny really. I'd get up on a morning and think nothing of it, and 2 days later I'd get 10 Bob Dylan albums, CDs in the post. I couldn't remember anything about ordering them. And somebody said to me, do you like Bob Dylan? I don't know. Oh, you should listen to him. Why don't you just get one greatest hits to start with and then build from there? No, because I've got mania. So I'm just going to go and read everything. It actually happened today. I got a card through the post for my wife's Mother's Day thing tomorrow. I can't remember ordering it. But not through alcohol abuse. It's mixed. But anyway, the thing is that during that period of mania, I wrote a whole feature for whiskey, for the Whiskeria magazine, on how I taste in colour. And it was genius. I mean, it's another word for it. I have no idea where it came from. I have no memory of writing it. But it absolutely condensed how I taste in colour. So I see all whiskey in colour. I often see rock bands, and so I can... if you read the world's best whiskies, there's a lot of references to music and about notes. And, I've laughed at distilleries that play music to their casks, but actually, if you play Metallica loudly to a cask, it will vibrate the cask. The cask will therefore jig, and the interaction of the spirit and the whiskey will change. So Metallica's blackened, it makes a lot of sense to me. But also the colour black, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I some of it's seasonal, so I tend to see whiskies, if they're summery whiskies, I see them in yellows and oranges. If they're autumnal, I see them in deep orange and browns and reds. If they're winter whiskies, I see greys and browns and blues, mainly in whiskey. But spring, I see light greens and yellows. But it's not that simplistic. I'll taste the taste. And I'll know, so at bourbon cask is going to be more likely to be a yellow sort of lighter colour.
Okay.
And a peated whiskey is going to be into your greys and browns immediately. But sometimes I see storm clouds gathering over Isla, and it may be that they're references to times I've spent there in the past.
And you've had the whiskey.
Well, this whiskey becomes grumbly grey, dark black, because it's an Isla whiskey, but it's in a winter environment. So it's a weird thing, but I that's what I do. I taste in color.
I like it, and I think it would help remember certain whiskeys or different periods if you had that as well. It's just another way to connect the dots with whiskey and time. So me, it would be a period. I usually, if I'm gonna say what do I connect whiskey with, it's going to be the people I'm with generally. I can remember my first whiskeys with certain peoples more than I'll remember that, and I won't remember their spouse's name or their children's name, or if they were from somewhere else, but I'll remember the whiskey and the situation we shared. So I'm very situational like that, and that helps me with my recollection. So maybe that helped you with how you just saw whiskey and you were able to...
I totally agree with that. And this is why when I taste whiskey, through the wall here, there is our kitchen. And at the back of the kitchen is like a little area, back hallway sort of, where the fridge is. And there's a little table. And on that table is where I stand and I taste whiskeys for work between set hours at that place every time, because your experience varies so much from where you are, what you're doing, what time of day it is, all of those things. And to actually hone in on what you're good at. See, I actually believe that if I could paint, I could turn whiskey into art. And I think I haven't got that skill. I can write, not brilliantly, but I can write, and I can take what I've learned and try and cross. So maybe I'm a 7 out of 10 at tasting and a 7 out of 10 at writing, but that combination makes me fairly unique, because some people are 10 out of 10 at tasting but can't write, and some people are great writers, never tasted whiskey. So I'm not great at either, but I wonder if I could paint, whether I would be able to translate the images in my mind onto paper or canvas or whatever. And it's a skill I haven't got, but I wonder if I had. It would be amazing.
You should get yourself a simple set of watercolors and try.
Well, it's funny you say that, but I have got a oil painting by numbers set thing here.
Good.
And one of the ways I relax when I'm not doing jigsaws, because I can't relax by going on screens, because that's what I do for my job, and I can't relax reading particularly. Although because I'm side of the theme, I've got 8 magazines around me, half read, and I'll suddenly feel the need to pick one up and read. I'll do it tonight before bed after I've come up from you. Everyone will go quiet in the house, and I won't be able to sleep because I'll be quite manic because I've been enjoying myself. So I'll pick up a magazine. I can see 4 here in my viewpoint, 5 in my viewpoint. But I have this painting by numbers, and what I'll do on football day, like today, which wasn't very exciting because we're playing tomorrow, I'll do some jigsaw, which is not like what I do for work, or I'll do some painting by numbers, and it's not real painting. It's literally a canvas this big, and you get. I'll show you.
Okay. And I think that might help you become a painter. Yes, I've seen those.
Yeah,
I think our childhood, most of our childhoods, we've
Everybody has.
Yeah. No, Dolph, do you remember them though? Because when I was a child, they smelt of eucalyptus. They were oil paints.
Yep.
And they stained and they smelt of eucalyptus. These don't.
And I think they were lead-based as well, Dom.
I think they probably were too.
I
once compared a Lime Burner's whiskey. It was so awful. It was 2 years old and it was shocking. And in Whisky magazine, they were coming to play us at cricket that summer. The Australians were. And my review was, this is disgusting. It reminds me of the eucalyptus oil paints of my childhood. Yeah. And it's thin and weedy. If this is the same as their cricket team, we've won the Ashes, lads. And the best thing about the story is, 10 years later, when I've gone into another world, the guy who runs Lime Burners is Cameron Syme. He also happens to be the chairman of the Australian Whisky Society, etc. He goes, okay, I really want to thank you for all your support, mate. He said, I want to talk to Whisky Magazine. They were so fucking rude about my whiskies. And I said, really? He said, yeah, they said they were like, and he quoted me back to me, but he didn't know it was me that had written it. I said, whoa, that's disgraceful.
That's horrible.
And 2 years later, they sent me a whiskey that was just about drinkable. And I said, this is the most improved whiskey in the world. That's because it started from nil. But he took it as a compliment. So anyway, I hope Cameron's not tuning into any of this. I got away with it big time. But
I think your secret's safe here. We're good.
Yeah. You can wash these. You can wash these off, and the pictures I've got at the moment are of Caribbean beaches with green palm trees and blue sky, just like you say. Because I've been locked down for so long. And we're coming out of a very long winter. We've had another couple of shocking days. Well, today wasn't so bad, but it's been shocking. And I suddenly realized I was kind of doing pictures of 2 18th century battleships in a storm shooting at each other. And it's all browns and blacks and greys. So now, if you notice, it's great. I'm not even really done very much, but just the colors are so exciting. I mean,
well, there's no Velvet Elvises in there?
Hey?
No Velvet Elvises.
We had paint by colors with Elvises in the past. That's like 1970s, I think, though, right?
Yep. Definitely 1970s.
If he's got one.
That's a North American trade, Velvet Elvis, guys.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's nicked my Elvis jigsaw.
Someone nicked it. Who would do that, Dom?
I don't know.
The dog ate the dog.
It's the dog.
I've got an unstarted Elvis 68.
Ooh,
you know, when he's got the black background with the red Elvis and he's standing in front of it. It's going to be a really hard jigsaw to do because it's mainly black. But it's meant to be in my pile of jigsaws and it's not there. Somebody's stealing my jigsaws. It's a dog.
Or you set it up downstairs and forgot about it.
I'm going to go out in the garage and find the dog's done my jigsaw, aren't I?
Yep. Well, it's good to have bright people around you, Dom.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into a question. Here we go. And another quote. I'm sorry. So that one right there. Hanyu and sorry, Dom says, can't you simply? No, that's not the one I want. I don't want that one. I
want the other one, Dolph. There you
go. This is the question. So Hanyu and Karuzara distilleries have caught the attention of whiskey lovers, collectors, and investors everywhere, and focused the world of whiskey spotlight on Japan. So this just kind of leads into a question that I'm really wondering about people in the business. So Dom, do you think that about whiskey collectors and the secondary market? Because often people talk about them, it's very derogatory, it's very negative, but maybe these people are responsible for the rise of interest in whiskey, because without them, would we have so many new distilleries, new flavors? So can we say that the collectors are good people, or do we just hate them because they're driving the market price up on the secondary market? What do you guys think?
I'd like to hear your opinions before I answer this. I've got a very strong view on this.
I don't have a strong view, no. I collect whiskey, but I drink most of my whiskey, but I do buy some stuff thinking that one day in the future I might get rid of it. And the one that I'm thinking of right now is the Game of Thrones collection, because I bought that and I was so angry with them because the day that they had Bran the Brave become the price of these things went down more than 50%. So I'm not a good collector because I don't know what to collect. I know what I think is going to be important one day, but it's hard to keep my hands off of it.
That collection is one for you to remember never to collect whiskey. You should just drink it.
I think so. And I put it away as well. Yeah. It used to be on the top shelf and it displayed, and now it's in the bottom corner of one of my shelves. And it's a good story for me to get angry about every time I.
So I'll keep that up on my show shelf to remind me not to collect whiskey because it's meant to be drunk.
So my question is there enough collectors out there for Diageo and the rest of these guys to start building new distilleries? Because that's a lot of liquid. So how many people are actually collecting this stuff? And like,
there's a large secondary
amount of people.
I think there's a lot of people collecting whiskeys. I'm quite shocked at how many people are collecting. For myself, I just drink, so I never have more than 10, not even, maybe like 5 or 6 bottles in my house, because I just keep cycling through them. I drink them, yeah. So I'm looking at you, Dolph, and that wall behind you.
Close that door, Kent.
But in answer to Dolph's question, I think it's true that we have all these new expressions because of the collectors. Without them, we wouldn't have so many out there and a lot of new exciting stuff to try. But then at the same time, it's precisely because of them that the costs have increased so much. You know, and I don't know if it's worth that cost. I mean, I kind of compare it to like this local restaurant that you might know, and you really like it, and you can go there and get a seat anytime, and you don't want to tell people about it because you're kind of selfish. You hope that it doesn't take off, and then the prices will go up or the quality will go down, and you want to kind of keep it to yourself. And so you're kind of caught in the middle as a drinker, you know.
But then they make another store because it's so popular, and then you have that store, but the prices are still high. It's still acceptable or accessible, but it's high.
Yeah. The question is, are the distilleries taking advantage of this and starting to jack up prices?
Completely.
Yeah.
Dolph,
Go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, Sheila has a great comment on the side here.
Yeah.
She says, whiskey's meant to be drank and shared, but this becomes harder and harder to do when the prices are driven through the roof or bottles become unattainable because of collectors.
Yep.
Yes. We can't get the 25 to 40 to 50-year-old whiskeys that would have been possibly if 20 years ago.
Well, not even that.
Or even less.
They weren't collectible 20 years ago. All of a sudden now they're collectible.
Yeah.
Here's a great example right there. I picked that up for $70. I picked up a bunch of them for $70. This now, you can't buy it anymore, but on the secondary market is over $400. Right? That's a huge jump. That becomes unattainable. It's great juice, but I wouldn't buy it at $400.
Okay. And this is a good comment too. We didn't do that, but the closed distilleries, it's not helping them. They're just driving up the price with certain closed distilleries. Yeah, and I've got this distillery in it was a mix in. I'll leave it. No, it's this one right here, the Glover.
The Glover, yeah.
And I liked it a lot, but it's got some from Hanju in there. And I couldn't find this anymore. At one point, I saw 6 at a store. It was fairly expensive, but I bought it. But then it was great. And I went back and not a chance. So, Dom, I need to know, because you diverted. You deflected this. You didn't want to talk about it. I want to know what you think.
No, it's not that I didn't want to talk about it. I've just got a lot to say about it. And I wanted to hear everyone else.
Okay.
I'm running out of time, and I didn't want to dominate everything. People fail to understand actually where I'm coming from on a lot of this stuff. They say, Dom, I'm very left wing, very, very socialist. And I'm not talking about, Tony Blair and New Labour. I'm talking about, I'm a Corbynite. I'm about to leave the Labour Party because it's not left wing enough for me. I'm an international socialist. And people say, well, how can you be all those things and then support the Macallan £10,000 a bottle, etc.? And I say, if some rich Russian is stupid enough to spend £10,000 on one bottle of whiskey, and it keeps people in Scotland in distillery jobs in a job, that's redistribution of wealth downwards, and that's what socialism is. So I have no problem. I can't afford a Ferrari. So if I can't afford a rare whiskey because demand is outstripped, I'm also an economist. I've got an economics degree. And the fundamental rules are economics. So if people say, what are you going to get for that at auction? So you don't know. If there's only one person and he bids £25 or $25,
that's it.
That's it. But if there's 2 who both want it, it goes up to $150. That's the market. And that's all capitalism is. It's demand and supply, free. So the idea that you can control that in any way and insist that you just can't do it. And my big thing about this is this, that fundamentally, if I have a bottle of whiskey and I buy it, say that there's only 10 bottles in the world of 50-year-old Yamazaki, and I buy one, I've made the other bottles more valuable because there's now only 9 available. And if I drink it, it's permanently unavailable.
Yes.
But if I save it and give it to my son in 20 years, and he shares it with his friends, they get to have the pleasure of that whiskey. Or if I sell it and other people will pay the money and share, that means that whiskey has a future. If we all buy those 10 bottles of Yamazaki and we all put them in our collection, they're all still in the bottle. If we all buy them and drink them, they're gone. So what I do with them after I buy them is nobody else's business. But there's more chance you'll get one if I don't drink it. That's my argument.
Wasn't it made to be drunk?
It was made to be. I don't quite understand that because
it's made to be appreciated one way or another.
Why are we drinking whiskey? Like we should.
The thing, I'll tell you what I would say to that is, if somebody came into the whiskey shop and when I worked there and said, I've got £500, what would you buy for £500? I'd say 10 bottles of £50 whiskey, because the marginal incremental value, to use the economic expression, of each bottle is much higher than one bottle of £500 whiskey. I once had a bottle of Dalmore Sirius that the whiskey shop had exclusively, one bottle in the world, £10,000 or £100,000. I think it's in 1001 whiskies. Doesn't matter. It was stupid money, and I was the only journalist in the world, because I worked for the whiskey shop, to get a sample. And I spent 3 hours talking about it, going around the room, saying what I was going to do, etc. You can't tell me that one sip of any whiskey is worth £3,000 or whatever it was. It's not. So what I did was, I'd say, you know, I would rather have 50. I did collect whiskey for a while, but nothing more than £100 and nothing I wouldn't drink. That were my rules.
Okay.
I don't even have that anymore now. But the point is that I don't think that once it's gone off the shelf, it matters what happens to it next. But you then start putting whiskey into the category of art. You put it in a elite vase. You're now talking about a piece of art. You know, is the Mona Lisa a great painting? I don't think it is. I think it's shit. But people pay lots of money for that. Lots of people buy art and they put them in their private collection. It's just a commodity. So when people say, "Oh, whiskey, you buy it, it should be drunk." Yeah, most whiskey, that's true. But if it takes on a commodity value, the pull through for the category, every time there's a story in a newspaper saying Dalmore sold for £100,000, it's a bit like, sorry, this is the last thing I'm going to say on this. I'm starting to go all over the place. But it's like people like to buy old BMWs. You get a top of the range BMW, it's going to cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds. But you can buy them in the second-hand market for old versions that got the logo, you know, the thing on the front, for a few £100. So people buy them because it's a BMW. I had a Pierre Cardin suit once, cost me £100. It's because it was a shit suit that happened to have Pierre Cardin on the label, and it made me feel like it was worth £30 more than the next shit suit. So that's all it is. You know, people will. It will be good for whiskey. But I'll give you the last thing I'll say on this. When Jim Murray gave Yamazaki Whiskey of the Year one year, every Yamazaki expression sold out. It became off the shelf. The newspapers had to go to bars and buy a glass of the whiskey that Jim had written about because it wasn't available anymore. But it didn't just affect the whiskey that won the award. It affected every Yamazaki and probably every Japanese whiskey. So therefore, you know, if I'm sitting in a dentist waiting room and there's a story on the news about whiskey's £100,000 a bottle, and then I go to my supermarket and I see the same name, Macallan or whatever, it's £70. What am I going to think?
Yeah.
So I have no problem with it. I think that what you do with whiskey, once you've paid the money and taken it away from everyone else, because once I bought it, it's none of your business anymore. Whether I drink it or keep it is irrelevant. But if I keep it, at least there's a chance you'll get another shot at it.
So
it's kind of like our Alberta Premium Rye here. When Jim Murray wrote about it, I bought it on sale like for $47. And the minute his book came out, it went to $150 and then went to $400 a bottle. Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's a different thing though. That's alcohol inflation. You know, that's not the same as shortage of supply. Well, it is. Eventually it is, but that demand was created by Jim Murray.
Yeah, and artificial inflation.
And what goes with that, and a lot of people in Canada feel this way, I know, what goes with that is Jim Murray's paid a lot of money. I don't actually know this, and I don't subscribe to it in any way, and I stand back from it. But there are plenty of people who think that the amount of money he makes distillers by choosing their whiskey as the whiskey of the year makes him a very, very valuable commodity. I wouldn't do it personally. Integrity is about all I've got left.
Well, time will tell if he's still a commodity next year, and I'm looking forward to seeing if he is or not. I really want to see how that progresses, that story. But I don't want to end your time with us on that note. That was a good answer. Thank you very much, Don. So we're going to say that yes, we're going to credit the collectors for enhancing the whiskey community or the availability of certain ones and making people want to make more whiskey. They've had a role to play, and I don't like all of them all that much when they drive up the whiskey that I'd like to buy, because I'm a teacher and I don't make a whole bunch of money. But as it is, I like to see the whiskey community grow, and I like when there's stories that come out that make us grow as well. It's all interconnected, and I'm enjoying our time. So thank you, Don. It was very good. And I've finished my dram with the rose water, which is a shame. I'll make a little bit more later. Do you have time for another question, or are you off, Dom? Because I know it's Mother's Day.
A quick one, because
Nothing's ever
going up behind you. Yeah.
There's no quick questions.
Let's take a quick one.
Okay. I do. Let's just go with this one. So you wrote about Chichibu Distillery wanting to produce 100% whiskey. You also write about some traditional methods that they use there, such as floor malting and building their own cooperage, buying local barley. Does it seem to you like they're trying to emulate Scotch, or do they have a laser-like focus now on changing the Japanese image? So are they still doing the same old thing, or have they changed it and we're Japan and we're making it Japan now?
The simple answer to that is it's back to the future. If you go to Scotland, you'll find that some of the smaller craft distillers that have just arisen in the last 2-3 years are claiming that they're doing it the way it should have been done, and that Scotland's the one that have dumbed down.
Okay.
Scotland's making vast amounts of spirits. It cuts long. The barrels. I mean, I've been tasting whiskey for 3 companies to release. I'm very proud that we launched this week. Fable Whiskey launched 5 whiskies. I chose the casks. Cool. But these came from Diageo, and they were sending. I had 40-something casks, and they're coming out like, off-coloured water. They've been in casks for 14 years, and they taste like they've been in there 10 minutes. And it's because they're using tired casks for blending, and they not even by they were rejecting them and selling them to independent bottlers. So you've got to be very careful. But I think that at the other end of it, the Chichibus and the craft distillers in Scotland, and to be fair, the top end of the major companies, the standards as high as ever. But Scotland's got a problem because it's dumbed down in the non-age statement bracket. Well, under 10 years, Scotland's vulnerable. And your Japanese whiskey you're tasting tonight without an age statement is going to give a run for its money to Scotland. And so are Irish whiskies in that category, bourbons, European whiskies, Australian, Israeli, English, Welsh, and on we go. Once you get under 10 years, Scotland can't compete because it needs longer than that to mature. So I think Japan's following a world trend, and I think they're very canny whiskey producers. I think we're going to see some exciting stories from Japan coming up, but they've got some catching up to do because lots of other world whiskies have now reclaimed taken their crowns. But
perfect. Thank you very much. That was a good answer, and it was short. You did it. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have tonight. It's been a fantastic afternoon for us, fantastic evening for this man right here. Thanks to our listeners. Thanks to our panel, Dave, Jason, Kent, and Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure spending this time with you all. And a special thanks for Dom for coming on today. And as always, let's hold up a glass. Here's the good company. Here's the good whiskey. Here's the good books. And here's the good conversation. And here's to seeing you all next week, Saturday, March 20th, at our new time, 1:00 p.m., 8:00 Dom's time, for Whiskey Book's 9th book review. And here it is again. Whisky Japan, the essential guide to the world's most exotic whiskey, with author Dominic.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good night. You take care. Or good day. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Oh, we are going to enjoy it. We've started very well done.
Your fire tonight and drinks.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ciao, everybody, and cheers to one and all. Have fun.